The most hated subject or term, slavery, has been prevalent in the world since the dawn of civilization. These are the 10 most popular movies on the subject of slavery that reshaped the thinking of world about slavery. Eventually, slavery has been abolished from the world. The European nations since the 12th century perpetrate innumerable cruelties upon the innocent people of Asia, Africa, and America, irrespective of race, creed, color, and religion. The European nations tried to spread or impose their ideological and political sphere through war and execution. They enslaved the people of the world into worst form of slavery and bondage. Europeans committed acts of cruelty unparalleled in the annals of human history. Collective curses, bishrews, imprecates, appeals, and passionate prayers of these slaves to Allah Almighty God to inflict His wrath over oppressor who committed unparalleled persecution over the innocent people or slaves of the world, ultimately destroyed the mighty empires of Europe from America and the world. Allah Almighty God accumulates these curses and prayers and inflicts His wrath and revenge on the oppressor nations of Europe. Allah Almighty God reduced the power of mighty European empires and gave freedom and salvation to subjugated slave nations of the world. Allah Almighty God brought the unparalleled loss of lives and destruction in world wars only to inflict His wrath, besieged by these oppressed nations of entire world. Allah Almighty God destroyed these mighty empires into insignificant pieces, and their people face difficulties even today in one or the other form. These slaves' valiant struggle and unparalleled sacrifice bore the fruits of freedom from cruel European nations. The American directors have aptly portrayed the true picture of conditions of these slaves all around the world. These pictures have left indelible impact on the world public opinion. The sagacious people stand against their own governments and protested. Their pressure stopped the oppression in the world. These are the 10 movies on the subject of slavery. Hope you will enjoy.
Black dock worker called Jose who was planning to revolt. One night, during a festival, the slaves revolt, which leads to violence and highlights the message that no one can be owned by another. Brando turned down the lead roles in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and the arrangement to star in Burn. It turned out to be the right decision, as Brando once said that he did some of his best acting in this film. Number 8. Amistad. Steven Spielberg is best known for his sci-fi and fantasy movies, but one film he did to highlight the awful treatment of those taken aboard slave ships was Amistad. The story of the film is based on the real-life events of a slave ship called La Amistad that sailed back in 1839. Morgan Freeman, Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Hopkins, and Jaimin Hansen had starring roles. It was nominated for the 1998 Golden Globe Award for the Best Motion Picture, but lost out to James Cameron's Titanic. Number 7. Lincoln. Another film directed by Steven Spielberg, Lincoln followed the late president's mission to abolish slavery and change the views of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Lincoln was played by Daniel Day-Lewis, who was praised for his portrayal of the president, even winning the Best Actor award at the Golden Globes. The film is regarded as a Hollywood hit, as it grossed an impressive $275 million at the box office. After Liam Neeson turned down the part, Spielberg asked Daniel Day-Lewis to play the lead. Feeling like he couldn't play such an iconic character, it took Leonardo DiCaprio to talk him into taking the role. Number 6. Amazing Grace. A man named William Wilberforce was trying to stop the British transatlantic slave trade industry during 1797. When he meets Barbara Spooner, a woman who believes in his mission, he gets the courage to wrangle up more people to help him. Among them is his old mentor and a former slave ship captain who wrote the famous hymn, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace was celebrated for its attention to detail and its accuracy to historical facts. Unbelievably, the film only took 2 days to complete using 5 16mm cameras. Number 5. Glory. Directed by Edward Zwick and following the events of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, Glory stars Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, and Morgan Freeman. Like many of the entries in this video, this film was based on a book called Lay This Laurel. The only difference is, the novel was only written 16 years previously. Glory was not only the first feature film to focus on black soldiers during the American Civil War, it is credited as one of the most powerful and historically accurate movies about the war ever made. Number 4. Spartacus. Thracian Spartacus was a man who was born and raised as a slave. After being sold to a gladiator trainer and taught how to kill in the arena, he decides to rebel against his owner and the other authorities. He soon gathers a group of like-minded rebels who move from town to town, freeing others like them. Under the leadership of the film's namesake, they travel to Italy with a plan to cross the sea and return to their homes, but as you may expect, things don't go to plan. Number 3. Ben-Hur. A film that made a name for Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur was in fact a remake of its silent 1925 predecessor that shared the same name. At the time, Ben-Hur was given the largest budget of any Hollywood film in history, spending $15 million and making $66 million in the first 6 months. Ben-Hur scooped up an amazing 11 Academy Awards, some of which being the Best Motion Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. Number 2. 12 Years a Slave. Based on the incredibly true story of a free black man kidnapped and sold into slavery, 12 Years a Slave follows Solomon Northrop's incredible journey of racial abuse, dehumanization, hope, and eventually justice. Chiwetel Ejiofor initially turned down Steve McQueen's offer to play the leading role, but eventually agreed. He prepared for the role by immersing himself in the history of the plantations and learning how to play the violin. Our number 1 pick is Django Unchained. In a completely unique take on a slave film, Django Unchained is about a slave who is accompanied by a German bounty hunter named Dr. King Schultz. Schultz frees Django, and the two set out to hunt down the most wanted criminals of the South. Their adventures lead them to Calvin Candy, a larger-than-life plantation owner who is still keeping Django's wife a slave. Interestingly, during the filming of the movie, Jamie Foxx used his own horse named Cheetah. He had gotten the horse 4 years previously, making it the perfect companion to work with. The movie was rated an 8.4 on a scale.